Great. So once you're happy with the basic lighting in your scene, you can then we can do a proper render of this, like a full size render. So if you remember at the beginning, we changed the resolution to be 50%. Let's set it back to 100%. And then also what we can do is we can turn up the quality basically. So if you'll see here, I mean, I didn't leave this to render properly, but there's still, the bits that did render properly, you'll see they're still a little bit kind of grainy. And particularly you'll notice that more in the shadows there as well. So what we can do to change that, to actually kind of improve the quality, to stop this kind of graininess you get with the Arnold renderer, if you bring up the render settings, so the teapot with the cog, we come over to the Arnold renderer tab, and you have a lot of settings here which can be quite complicated, but there's one that kind of does the job of all of these basically. Maybe not with quite so much control, but it does a pretty good job. So if you turn on adaptive sampling, now this will slow your render down a lot. So 20 is, I'd say, quite high. Let's set it to like 10 to start with. Then, now when we render this, it's probably going to take about 5 minutes to render on my computer. Obviously, depending on the computer you use, it might take more or less, but let's give it a go. So we've set it to full size. Let's just double check that. Test resolution is 100%. We've set the adaptive sampling up to 10, and let's give it a go. So that's now finished. Took about 6 minutes to render. I did notice the progress bar in the bottom right sort of stayed at 5% for ages, and then just at the end it suddenly kind of went to the end. So don't worry too much. If you've left yours for like 10 minutes and it's still at 5%, that doesn't mean it's going to take a lot longer. But if you do find you leave it for 20 minutes or so and it still hasn't finished, then you might want to think about coming in here, cancelling the render, coming in here and turning down the adaptive samplings to something lower. Set it to 5, and then see how you go from there. Now, if we're happy with this, let's save it out. So to save it, we'll go to File and then Save Image. And let's save it in the render output folder. And I'll call this panel, what was it, 4 or 5? I can't remember. Panel 4, daylight. Click on Save. And we can now then go back to our comic and open that up. Okay, so once it's open, we can then drag that into the right place, like here. Lovely jubbly. Now, if you want to add a little black line around it, obviously some of you may know this already if you're familiar with Photoshop, but you can go to the layer thing and go to layer style and go to stroke, there we go. And that then gives us the option of changing the size of the outline and the color of it as well, and whether you have it in the center or outside. There we go, so that's our first panel dropped in.